What's up, fishing fanatics? So today I figured I would finally bring you an update on the white clouds that were covered when we first got them and haven't really been touched on since. Only because we've been busy doing all sorts of crazy stuff. But, how much is out? Yes. This is the 29 gallon that's upstairs. Molly fry. Older, juvenile. But I mean fry. They're everywhere. There's another one swimming back there. There's like 10 fry in this tank right now. It's crazy. But that's not the reason we're here. Oh, another juvenile. Hi, buddy. Got that beautiful lyre tail going on. True silver lyre tail. Makes me happy. These guys will get packed up and they will end up going up to the swap with us when we go next time. Like I said, we're trying to get, newer people in the hobby, and mollies and guppies and all that stuff, platies. They're the easiest fish to take care of, which is part of the reason we have them up here, other than the fact that they're beautiful. They're low maintenance. So you don't have to worry too much about what's going on with them at any time. And that makes me happy, because with 40 some odd tanks running, the less you have to do, the happier you are. So this still gets regular water changes and it still gets cleaned out, but it is self-maintaining basically at this point because of all the foliage in there. I mean, look at this plant. That's huge. It goes all the way to the top of the tank almost. That's gigantic. I love it. But anyways, white clouds are why we're here. I get sidetracked very easily anymore, but you can see there's two of them there. There's another bunch over here. They're doing really, really well. They're just very active swimmers. They are constantly on the move. You rarely see them resting. And they have absolutely beautiful color now. They did color back up really well. So they're really bright. And they have a deep red on their tails, which is really beautiful. I mean, that shows up on the fin. On the dorsal fin as well as the tail fin, you can see that it's bright red. It's like a deep bright red. It's beautiful. There's one of the other fry that was in here from before. Those are actually both of the fry that we had found together. They're growing at the same rate, so they're just about ready to be sold. They look like they're doing pretty well. This one doesn't have the lyre tail. It's just a silver molly. So that's something to look for when you're buying and selling. If you are like these guys, don't really have a lyre tail on them either. They're just silver. There's going to be thin white lines that are on the outside of the tail fin. So if I show you one of the parents, you can see how there's a bright white line that runs outside the top and the bottom tail, on the top and the bottom of the tail fin. That's a lyre tail, okay? If they don't have that, they're just a silver molly. Now, the problem with mollies is they've been so bred that it's really difficult to get a true line of lyre tails, because you're going to end up mixing silvers with lyre tails, and it's really hard to get it down to a point where they solely breed lyre tails. Especially if you buy these from like a pet store. They don't care about, maintaining the line. They just want more fish. So, yeah. Some of them are going to have it, some of them aren't. Lyre tails are worth a little bit more than just standard silvers, only because they have the extra, pop to them. Reality of it is we probably won't sell them for any different. If we do it, it might be like 50 cents or something, just because it's not about making money necessarily. We do have stuff that we're doing for profit, but it's more so to get people into the hobby. If we can pull in, a little bit of money to help cover the electric bill and the water bill, then that's great. And everything that is being made off of YouTube is being put into the hobby as well. I'm completely honest with what we're doing. If we get any money from YouTube, it goes right back into the hobby as well. Not the main reason that we're doing this. We're doing this to bring awareness You know, a lot of the videos are repetitive. You see updates on a lot of the tanks simply because, and I've said this before, but I'll say it until I'm blue in the face, we want to let people know who are new to the hobby what to expect, what you can see, what you can do. You know, trials and errors and everything are included on the channel simply because we don't want anyone to become discouraged when it happens to them. We went through a full-on tank crash, lost out of 100 fry, not to mention the actual juveniles as well as the adults. We lost all but 2 adults. We lost all but the like 8 juveniles that are downstairs, and we lost every single fry. We had at one point 86 fry in that tank, and we lost them all. Packed everything up, moved them downstairs in the 55, and if you watch the previous video or the videos before that, we have new fry. It takes time, it takes effort, but there's no reason to give up. You know, that was over a month ago. It's just one of the things you deal with. A heater goes out, you don't realize it until the next morning. The tank has dropped down to, you know, 60 something degrees, which is like the low 60s because we keep it cooler upstairs. And all of a sudden your fish are done. I mean, it's just what happened, you know. But we included that in there and showed the recovery, and now we have fry. Always stick to what you're doing. It can be very, very frustrating. It can be very disappointing. And it can be very trying on your nerves where you want to throw the towel in. But if you don't and you continue to put in the work you need to put in, you're going to have beautiful results. You really are. And the juveniles downstairs are proof of that. You know, some of those males are absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. That very glossy, you know, shiny, bright blue and black tail that they have that's very widespread. They're gorgeous. And even the ladies, the female guppies down there have the snakeskin body, and they have color on their tail, which is pretty solid. And you don't normally see that much color on females. So I'm extremely excited about that. And there's at one point I was like, well, I might get rid of these guys because they're not coloring up as nice. And then I seen the bodies color the rest of the way up, and the tails color the rest of the way up because they finally finished. And I was like, no, we're going to hold on to them because they have a lot of color for ladies. And it works out, you know. So just the reason we do this is to educate people, to show, you know, the trials and tribulations of being in the hobby, not to get discouraged, to get more people into the hobby, simply because we want to have as many into the hobby as possible. You never know when that person's going to come along and create a whole new, you know, species, or not species, but breed of fish. And it's something that we can all jump on and grab it and try to, you know, make it either the same line constantly or improve it even further and put our own little personal touches on it. And to me, that's really cool, and that's why I do guppies. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, they're the easy fish and they're cheap and they're, you know, this and they're that, and why would you want guppies? And the reality of it is you can tweak guppies to be what you want them to be. If you take the time and you put in the effort, you can mix 2 parents that are very different colorations, and you can come up with a distinct pattern that's linked to both parents. And then you can take that juvenile, once it's grown, toss it in with a different male that has a very different pattern, and you can breed them out. And by the time you're done, you can end up with like the Sunbursts or the Tequila Sunrise or the Deltas. I mean, it's crazy to think how far guppies have come since the hobby started, you know, truly, really started. And we could do that with most fish. We can improve their lines to the point where they're just genetic monsters. But they look absolutely gorgeous. You know, white clouds have a very pronounced line down their body, and they're very colorful. You know, the red on their fins can be deepened. You take the brightest colors that you have of male and female, you breed them together, and hopefully you get an even brighter variety of them. And then you take that and you breed it with a male and a female, and you get yet even a still brighter color. And it takes a lot of time to do this, but the reality is it can be done, and they turn out to be absolutely gorgeous. So, you know, other than getting to play with Fry every day, that's the main reason that we do both the channel and we're in the fish keeping hobby, is to try to better it for everybody, as well as maintain the standards that should be maintained, and hopefully people enjoy what we do and see it and decide to hop into the hobby themselves. And when we go to swaps, the reason that we are going to sell the fish a little bit lower is to give younger people a chance to step in and say, hey, these are live bears. I've never had a live bear, what to expect. We can tell them, we can show them videos, and it gives them an opportunity to buy a fish that would normally be $3 or $4 for, a buck or two. And they're saving money on the fish, probably able to pick up a cheap tank from the swap as well, because there's always tanks everywhere, and get into the hobby for a fraction of what it would normally cost, and finally understand why we do what we do and continue to grow themselves, get bigger tanks or a different variety of fish, and we got another person in the hobby. So that's why we do what we do. And I know I've kind of swayed off from the White Clouds, which I've been trying to continue to record as well as while I've been babbling, but and that's the real reason we do what we do. And not everybody is in agreement with the way we do things, which is fine. Fish keeping is what you make of it. It is how you want to handle it, and you can do it however you want. If something works great for you, then stick with it. If you try something that we do and it works great, awesome, stick with it. If it doesn't work that great for you, find a way that does work for you. I'm never going to tell you there's a right or wrong way to do something in the hobby. I won't do it. That includes what fish to keep together. Cichlids are very aggressive. Can you keep them together? It's been done. There's been certain species or varieties of cichlids that you do not want normally to keep together, and they've been put in tanks and they've lived completely fine, 100% peaceful. And there's other times you do the exact same two varieties of fish into a separate tank, and one of them will just demolish the other one. It's very cautious how you handle the situation and how you want to add them in and what you're doing with them, and you have to pay close attention to make sure that they're not getting nipped or bullied or chewed on. And if they are, you need to pull them out. But that's not to say it can't be done, because time and time again in this hobby, there's going to be somebody that will tell you, oh yeah, I got that going right now. And it's true. I've got puffers with guppies. That's normally a no. But I have Fry. They're fine. They're 2P puffers. They're smaller, but they're still puffers. They can tend to be aggressive. All the guppies are still alive. All of the Fry are still alive. It's being done. And you're going to have people that tell you, oh no, you shouldn't keep puffers with guppies. They'll eat them. I can say from personal experience, I beg to differ. It's how you manage the tanks. So anyways, my rant's over. That's why we do it. That's how I feel about it. And you can see the White Clouds are doing extremely well. And there's a ton of Fry in this tank too, because they keep dropping. For those of you that don't know, I'll warn you ahead of time, mollies breed like rabbits. They are constantly dropping Fry. Constantly. And they may not drop them all at once. They'll do 2, 3, 5, and then you'll have a batch where there's like 30 that drop out at once. And then they'll go back to releasing a couple at a time, and there's always Fry in this tank. Always. No matter what we do, there's always Fry in this tank. So be warned, you're either going to have a separate tank to raise them to handle the load, or you're going to have to figure out a way to disperse them to people that actually want to raise the Fry. Same thing with platies normally. These platies haven't bred for us at all. Ignore the mess in the corner. These platies have not bred for us at all. Not once. So, interestingly enough, platies tend to breed like rabbits as well, and they haven't bred at all. So it's a possibility we need to put them into a different tank. They may not feel comfortable enough with the mollies in there. it's possible. But we'll go from there. But anyways, this is a really long video, and I'm sorry I made it so long, but yeah. Any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them in the box below. As always, we're open to suggestions. If you haven't already, do me a favor, do us a favor, do yourselves a favor. Like, subscribe, and share. Let's get some more people in the fish keeping hobby. And as always, happy fish keeping.